fairy.
A simp, not a simp. A simp, not a simp. A simp, not a simp. We eat so many shrimp. I got iodine poisoning.
Baby, you been rolling solo, time to get down with the team. The grass is greener on that other side. If you know what I mean, I show you shit you never seen. The 7 wonders of the world. And I can make you the 8 if you wanna be my girl. I say my girl, I don't mean my woman. That ain't my style. Need a real street stalker. Stalker, walk a green mile. Piling up the paper on the dining room table. Cause you able to realize I'm the truth and not a fable. Baby, rockin' Russian sable. Keep that chiller on the rack. What I look like with some $1,000 shit up on my back. I'm $1 million man that need $1 billion bitch. Put my pimpin' in your life. Watch your daddy get rich. Easy as ABC. Simple as 1, 2, 3. Get down with UGK. Pimp CBU with B. Cause what's a hoe with no pimp? And what's a pimp with no hoe? Don't be a lame. You know the game and how it goes. We try to get toes.
A simp, not a simp. A simp, not a simp. A simp, not a simp. We eat so many shrimp. I got iodine poisoning.
Hello, hello. It is Arty of Arty's Corporate Fiction. Good morning, everybody, on this overcast Sunday. Hope you guys are doing well. As promised, I should have streamed last night, but I didn't. But I'll be streaming this morning and most likely this evening. Today, I just want to, I gotta get these things off my chest. Because this is something that I've been, I don't want to say obsessed, but very, very focused on. And that's like, the upcoming election, but also specifically January 6th. But like, I feel like the people have been gaslit into thinking that it's something completely different than what it was. Morning, Celine. But before we get too deep into that discussion, we're gonna sandwich, levity in between. So we're gonna start off with something interesting that all of us can enjoy, and then we'll go into the meat of it. So apparently, this lady ends up battering a Publix worker, like in front of the police. So we're gonna start off with that, because I've never seen this one. This is wild. This sounds pretty wild, and then we'll get into it later on. Well, Celine, that's pretty much my point. Replace X-ism with racism, communism, fascism, socialism. Yeah, all the isms that are just flying out everywhere these days. Nobody knows what it is anymore. That's kind of like the thesis of this.
Relax.
Stop manhandling.
Stop. Sit down.
You're gonna get Stop.
Listen, you're gonna get another charge.
Manhandling.
Relax.
On June the 2nd, 2024, officers were present when a woman assaulted an employee at a grocery store.
Oh, right there. Oh, you saw it. Right at the corner.
Get off of me.
Stop.
Get off of
Don't
me.
do it.
Stop.
Don't do it.
Stop.
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 Don't
Relax.
do it.
Relax.
Relax.
Get off
You're
of
under
me.
arrest for battery. Stop.
Oh my
Stop.
God.
Relax.
Can you get off
Relax.
of me? I'm pissing my pants.
Awesome.
What the-
She's not going anywhere. Relax.
Get off. I can do it nicely. Get off of me.
Stop moving and give me your hands.
Stop. You're gonna get yourself in trouble.
You
Stop.
don't need to do that, dude.
All right. Move your hand.
You don't.
Just
You're
move
gonna
it.
get yourself in trouble.
Calm down. Move.
You didn't even use your words.
Stop kicking me or you're going to get another charge. Stop.
Calm down, Melissa. Stop. Calm down. Stop.
Gonna move her wrist.
Just calm down. All right?
There you go.
Let's hear what they have to say. I don't know what happened here.
Well, they didn't even want to say anything.
It's not that serious. Relax.
Something happened.
Relax.
Yeah, just relax a little bit. All right? Come sit down.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not going anywhere, Pedro.
Listen,
Are you her driver?
Yeah. I always
Awesome.
Huh? Just calm down.
There you go.
You gotta sit down.
What was all that about?
Yeah.
What was all that about?
Sit down.
Thanks, punk.
Sit down.
Relax.
Stop manhandling me.
Stop. Sit down.
You're gonna get a yo.
Stop.
Listen, you're gonna get another charge.
Stop
Relax.
manhandling me.
Relax.
Oh my God.
See if you
Well,
want some
then
medicine.
get off of
See
me
if you
and
want some
talk to me
medicine.
like
Sit
a
down.
person.
Sit down.
Here, I got her. Sit down. Relax.
You want the medics?
Yeah, I do.
Here, go talk to him. I got this.
Can I have my other headphones,
I will
please?
grab it, okay?
Can you help me put it away like I wanted to do in the first
Give
place?
me your phone. Take a deep breath, okay?
And the headphones should be
I got you. Take a deep breath. Relax. Are you having a bad day?
Yeah, by the way, the discount's still live. Thank you, Janelle, for that.
How about a bad life?
Listen to me. It's okay. You can have bad days, right? But you can't go around punching people in the face.
I'm sick of the comments, man. I get it all day long because I'm a pretty girl and I'm sick of it.
I mean, it's a blessing. I get it, though. I get it. Take a deep breath, okay? Relax, okay? Relax. We're gonna figure this out, okay? I don't like treating people like that, okay? That's why I was trying to get you to calm down. Where are you staying? Do you have ID on you?
Yeah.
Is it inside? Can I go in there and grab it, please? So listen. We can't be doing stuff like that, okay? It's a little bit different in South Florida. I understand the comments and stuff like that, but you know what they say? Beauty is pain.
At least Mike is here.
Don't even.
Everybody knows what the f that means. Talk to me like I'm stupid. I'm sick of that shit,
I
man.
know, but listen.
No,
Try and cover that shit up as if it's
Never.
something else.
Listen, don't even play with me. You got a phone? You have a phone?
Tommy, talk to me. What happened?
No, it was just a very... Okay, so I was getting ready to empty the garbage.
Did you get that from her?
Yeah.
So what happened?
He walked by with all this, and I was exerting some what I thought dry humor. So the cart passed by, and I go, she's very thirsty. I said it to him. And she goes like this, and then she comes up to me, and I don't remember if she said anything, but I thought do you want to mess with me, or something of that nature. And I thought she was joking, like she was going to pretend to hit me. You know, you want to mess with me, you know, kind of like that. So I just stood there, and then she actually made contact and punched me.
With what hand?
With, I believe, her right hand.
Once? And that's how you're
Yeah.
bleeding?
Yeah.
Oh God!
You want to press charge now? You want to get arrested?
Well, you know, I'll probably be okay, but I'm thinking she can't keep doing this.
I get that. Can I at least get your ID, Tommy?
Huh?
Can I at least get your ID?
I mean, and I don't need this. I got enough going on. And I was actually just trying to be friendly.
Thank you,
And
Celine.
not even really to her, just to anybody who was going out.
Thank you for that. Much appreciated. Oh,
I mean, you might want to ask her what I said. Maybe she thought I said something else. Just go, wow, she's really thirsty.
So you
You know,
said...
it's kind of like, wow, she's really thirsty. But I'm...
So you
There's a
said,
lot of
wow,
water.
she's really thirsty, and she said, what are you trying to mess with me? And then that's when she punched you in the
Something
face?
to the effect of that, yeah.
I haven't had that in a long
You know,
since
pretty
last
much like
year.
with anybody. It wasn't even
What's your
specific
phone number,
to her.
sir? And you said you don't need the medics?
I don't think so. My tooth, it's not like my tooth are...
Gotcha. Do you want to press charges on her or not? Do you want her to go to jail for what she's done or not?
Well, what happens if we just let her go? We just let her go?
Okay. Well, that's why I got to ask these questions, Tommy. It's not up to me. This lady punched him in the face one time.
Here's exactly what happened. I was getting ready to empty the garbage, and of course you can review the CCTV or whatever. I mean, I was getting ready to empty the garbage, and he, Jafar, who's a witness, I don't know where he is, he was coming through with the water, and I was going to say whatever I was going to say, regardless of who it was. It was like, I thought it was like dry humor. I just go, wow, she's really thirsty, or must be really thirsty. you know, because the whole car is water. And then she goes like this.
Oh,
You want to
okay.
mess with me? Bam! And I just stood there because I actually thought she was kidding. You know, you want to mess with me? Wink, 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 or something. I had no idea that she was actually going to make contact. And they keep asking if I want to arrest her, but I feel like... So this is her? Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's what happened. I thought the guy was making a more sexual joke, but no, but now I see that the crate's full of water. That wasn't what he was trying to say. He's like, hey, man, you must be really thirsty. But I imagine she took it as like a sexual joke, and then she just hit him. So the misunderstanding. But I think the guy was making an innocent joke, not a sexual joke, and she lost her shit. For no reason. Like the thing is, even if it was a sexual joke, she can't just she can't just hit him.
You're her
Okay,
driver, right?
Celine, please don't say things like that.
What? You're gonna arrest her, or I'm still trying to decide?
I'm still trying to decide.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe you need to find out what happened, man.
Well, we know what happened.
I see it.
We know what happened.
She's obviously going to keep doing it.
Tommy, we need a decision right now.
Yeah. Decide what you're gonna do. What is there to decide?
All right, I'm going to arrest.
That up to you. I don't really think
I'm going to have her arrested.
Yeah.
We'll go to court. Come on. She has to go through the process. You know, I got arrested once. I got a DUI in 2010. And I needed to hear it.
Changed to 31.
419.
All right. Put her in the car.
Are you gonna take care of my water?
No, that's not going with you because you're going to jail. That's what happens when you punch people in the face in front of the police. And then you fight with us as we're arresting you. 92269, what's one case number, please?
5 years strictly. Member of society. Arrested from big crimes and water.
92269 will be 9551. 9551.
Jesus, Steve, I didn't realize you were that butthurt, but I went ahead and turned off ads. Okay, I did it for you.
I'm gonna take this off, okay?
You're gonna have to do it through. It's over top. It's not a clip.
Okay. So do I? Okay, I have to take it off like this.
And you might have to undo one of them.
No. Handcuffs are not coming off. My wrist hurts because I was fighting with you, bro. Are you serious?
You didn't even use your words.
I don't have to use my words. Once we say you're going to jail, that's it. That's how it works.
You clearly don't know how to follow steps of procedure.
No, my 50 cents of ad rev, because half the time my live streams get demonetized anyway.
Proud of yourself and you can go home and masturbate about it later. Ooh, did I run? No, I didn't. Look at that.
Tommy.
Imagine being told to use your words at like age 25.
Have Katie come to check.
The woman was charged with battery and resisting arrest. Do you think she overreacted to the employee's comments? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks.
Is that even a question? She not only hit him, but she cut him, apparently. Like, he bled. Which, again, in some states, that's an enhancement. Thank you, Steve, for the $2. You actually didn't need to super chat me, but all the same, it's appreciated. Okay. Wait, is this at an airport? Please tell me this is not at an airport. Oh, no, it's not an airport. It's an auditorium. Okay. So look, oh yeah, we can watch that. Sheriff, Ju- Sheriff Grady. Is it Sheriff Grady at Polk County? Sheriff Judd. Because what didn't he say that he had an arrest warrant out for him recently? By a sovereign citizen? Yeah, I should have added that last bit. Yeah, there's an arrest warrant for him by a sovereign citizen. Fuck!
Super J just donated 50. They said for no ads.
Thank you, Super J, for the $50 tip. Much appreciated, man. Again, you didn't have to do that, but I appreciate it. Man, maybe I should just not put in ads at all on my live streams. Probably be better idea. Oh my gosh, does anybody have a link to it? I know it was recent. Ugh. Oh. Is this his official channel? I think this is his official channel. All right, here we go. I hope. Well, yeah, I hope it's his official channel. No, I don't think so. Yeah. All right, if somebody could find it, I'd appreciate it. No, it's not on here. Okay, so this is his actual channel. No, I don't see it because he was saying like either he or somebody else got like either an arrest warrant or a bounty on him, like something like that from a sovereign citizen group or something like that. No, it's not on there. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'm talking about Grady Judd, but I can't find it. I could have sworn I saw that not too long ago. Oh well, I'll probably find it later. Trying to put on something that we can like have in the back. Oh, really? There it is. Finally. Okay, I found it. I found it. I found it.
They have filed an arrest warrant for me. An arrest warrant for me. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with me today. We're going to go over this entire event and then bring you up to speed with what we know now that certainly we didn't have the details of the other night. First and foremost, I want to introduce you to two heroes. This is Lieutenant Chad Anderson and Deputy Craig Smith. They both went to back up Deputy Conover.
It's about these sheriff's deputies.
And this occurred on Saturday morning about 12:22 in the Hunt Fountain Park on Duff Road in North Lakeland. Deputy Conover was working the area because we had some burglaries in the area. Gangbangers, kids, teenagers, flipped door handles, looking for cash, credit cards, and guns. And there had been some of those in the area. We also had a burglary of the concession stand at the park recently. So Deputy Conover was doing what she should when she saw a white Mercedes-Benz in the parking lot. She checked on the person there, and the person just barely rolled the window down, talking to her when she asked, "Would you show me your driver's license? Tell me who you are." He wouldn't respond. He wouldn't get out of the car. He wouldn't cooperate. She noticed that he was dressed all in white, as if he were in some kind of religious or cult garb. He certainly wasn't in normal street clothes. So she called for backup, and that's when Deputy Craig Smith, Lieutenant Anderson, who were both shot, as well as Deputy Bolito and his trainee, and we also had Natalie Ostrich, who is K9, back them up. So now there's a total with the trainees of 7 deputies there. So Craig Smith, Chad Anderson go to the door and say, "Hey, look, man." They tried to talk to him. You've got to identify yourself. You've got to come out and talk to us. And he wouldn't. And his car started rolling. They grabbed the window. And all of a sudden, he started shooting. We know now that he shot 5 times. We saw 5 empty casings. He struck Lieutenant Chad Anderson in the left arm. It went through the arm and into his chest cavity. The projectile lodged between his heart and his spinal column. He was fractions of an inch from either being paralyzed from the chest down or killed if it had have gone into his heart or struck any of those major arteries in that area. He went down, but he got 2 shots off before he went down. Craig Smith, Deputy Smith, was not able to shoot because he was shot, and as I reported, there were 4 gunshot wounds in him. After clearly evaluating him and the medical procedures, he was shot twice. So what we were looking at was in and out holes. So he was shot twice in his right arm and he went down. Deputy Bolito and our K9 Deputy Ostrich returned shots. There was a gunfight. There were 38 shots fired. We hit the suspect 8 times, and he was immediately deceased. So now we rush everyone to the hospital. Lieutenant Chad Anderson has had 2 surgeries. He's still in critical but stable condition.
Oh, man.
Craig Smith, when he originally went in, was in critical but stable condition, and he has now been upgraded. Obviously, Lieutenant Anderson is still in intensive care, and Deputy Craig Smith has been upgraded and moved to a different floor. But I want to talk to you for just a minute about the suspect. And I want to show you what we found in his car. First, the firearm that he used to shoot my deputies and to shoot at the other deputies. It's a Springfield Arms XD 9mm. And in addition to being a loaded firearm, he also had 2 more loaded magazines in the door partition to his left. So he could have had a small gun battle with what he had alone. In the back seat, he had this is a Ruger 1022 converted to an AR-15. In a backpack, he had a fully loaded 40mm firearm handgun. So let me introduce you to our suspect that tried to murder my deputies, did his best. This is K-Mac Elbay. He's 26. That's the name that he has taken on because, you see, he identifies as Moorish.
I'm trying to remember this guy's background.
Number 13, lion-hearted on his Florida driver's license. Beside his signature, he has written ARR. All rights reserved. He's currently homeless. He was evicted from a place in Hillsborough County. He has been moving around. In Pinellas County, he was asked to leave a business area apparently last month. We talked to his mother. She said, I don't know this person. She said, I know Kyron Caples, C-A-P-L-E-S. Kyron Caples is my son. He went to Fresno State after 3 years of college and in studying business. He left. He apparently was radicalized while he was at Fresno State. She said, I raised him as a Christian boy. He was a good man. We found that he didn't have a criminal history. He had a suspended driver's license. So the person that his mother knew and loved, and she'd not seen him in 3 years since he left California, that's where she lives, until we got that fateful call, she had talked to him and had communicated with him and had on occasion sent him money when he needed help. But she says she doesn't know who this K-Mac Elbay is, but that's who he goes by now. Here's his identification card, his Moorish identification card. He's a sovereign citizen. The Moorish rejects federal, state, and local law. They don't have to obey it. They're extremist. They're anti-government.
Yeah.
They have a potential for violence toward law enforcement. And I will hearken you back, and those of you who have been reporters around here for a while, remember in 2017, on the I-4 corridor, 3 police officers were shot and killed. A sergeant with the Orlando Police Department, a sergeant with the Kissimmee Police Department, and on that same day, an officer with the Kissimmee Police Department. They were shot by 2 separate Moorish people, all in 2017. And now let's fast forward to 2024, and K-Mac tried to murder 2 of my police officers.
Might see something.
In addition to their violent activity, they're known for trying to file paperwork. For example, they have filed an arrest warrant for me in the Moorish world with a $1 million bond.
Damn.
As well as some of my other deputies. Not this person, but other Moorish people. We make frequent arrests of these citizens, these Moorish citizens, but we don't publish them because we don't want to market for them. But let me read something to you for just a second. This is an example. Now, here's his ID card, and this is a sample of a card that he had, so that when they want to hand it to you, he didn't, it would say, and you'll get the mindset, this is a valid and lawful form of identification. See United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, Articles 2 and 33, Section 1. You're being put on notice that any unlawful act against an indigenous Yahudum Moor is a federal crime, and you will be fined $750,000 or more. Any violation of my rights, well-being, or property is your express agreement to be held officially and privately liable for $750,000 for each violation of the bearer's rights in each capacity. If detaining the bearer, you also expressly agree to the fee schedule of $90,000 per hour. Upon any unlawful detainment and violation of the bearer's right, payment is due immediately in lawful money. So you get an idea of what we're dealing with when we're dealing with these Moorish sovereign citizens. They're dangerous, and you don't know when. There's been other occasions where they're not dangerous at all. They just file papers illegally. And if you'll hearken back to a few years ago, the Florida legislature had to create a new set of laws so that if they tried to go down and file liens against judges or clerks, that was a criminal event and they could be arrested. And there had to be a mechanism to easily clean those liens and legal paperwork out. We've talked to the mother twice of our suspect, at least twice. I call him, because this is his given name that he wants us to use, K-Mac Elbay. But for mom's benefit, we've talked to Kyron Cable's mom. She is a wonderful lady. She is totally in shock. And she said, as she's going to fly in at some point in time, she wants to meet with the deputies and apologize for her son shooting them. That's a good person. She understands the gravity of what occurred. Are there any questions?
Are those guns registered to him?
We don't know where the guns came from. You don't have to register guns in Florida. They are not stolen. At least they're not in the computer as stolen. And he is not a convicted felon, so he has the right to possess the firearm, or had the right to possess the firearms.
And that conversion, is that legal?
It is legal. That conversion kit comes with that model weapon. Okay.
So these sovereign citizens, I've seen videos where they'll actually follow law enforcement, and follow them around. Is this guy known for following law enforcement? Do you feel like he actually targeted these particular deputies?
We see nothing at all. And here's the most senseless part of this. Well, when you look through this Moorish rhetoric, that's pretty senseless. But he was in a park that was closed. Had he simply identified himself when we found he had a suspended license, he couldn't have driven off. We didn't have to bring any criminal charges against him. More than likely, we would have said, hey, let's get somebody to give you a ride. And that would have been the end of it. Probably not even a citation for being in the park after dark. He was not who we were looking for. We were looking for teenagers that were running through neighborhoods at night flipping door handles. He was not a target. He was not a problem until he made himself a problem.
Oh, hold on, Damien.
And I think that's what shocks his mother, and quite frankly, shocks all of us, because up to this point, we see no evidence that he was violent, but we saw lots of evidence that he was capable of being violent. And we also know that his radicalization has increased over the last 3 years based on his conduct, his ID card showing that he's a Moorish person. So why he decided to murder, we don't know, but we know that's not unusual when you look at the history just here on the I-4 corridor. And if you search up, you'll see that these folks that are Moorish and some of these other citizens, as they call themselves, have been violent toward law enforcement.
As you said, you don't want to publicize for sovereign citizens, but can you give us a better idea of how prevalent of an issue this is for your agency?
Well, there are sovereign citizens in every county, in every state in this nation. Now, how many? We don't know. We run into them periodically, and usually it's on a traffic stop because they don't have a tag on their car.
Naturally.
So you stop them to say, where's the tag on your car? They roll the window down about this far.
Mm-hmm.
And we say, wait, may we see your driver's license? I'm not showing you anything. And then they give you a quote like, I am not subservient to the laws of the United States or the state of Florida. You have no right to stop me and interfere with me. I'm a free man or a free woman. And they go into all this nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought it was one more of those. And then we very nicely, very professionally say, sir, ma'am, if you don't open the door, if you don't show us your driver's license, if you don't explain why you don't have a tag, we have to arrest you. I am not subject to the laws of the United States. And at that point in time, we say, ma'am, sir, please, if you don't get out of the car, we've got to take you out of the car. I am not subject to obey any direction by any law enforcement officer. And at that point, we take a punch and we break the window out. We open the car door. We take them out. We put them in handcuffs and take them to jail. And that's what we were doing that night after he resisted us. He had time to think about it, why backup was coming. We didn't rush him. We didn't push him. We talked to him. We tried to communicate with him. He wasn't having it. He was Moorish. He was a sovereign citizen. He didn't have to adhere to the laws of the state of Florida or the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And then he shot my deputies, and then we killed him, graveyard dead.
Graveyard dead.
He had to know
Classic.
that was coming. There was a legion of deputies around him trying to get him to cooperate. He chose for us to shoot him. He made that decision, and we obliged him. And what we have now is we have 2 deputies that are significantly injured, critically injured, and their recovery will be months.
Richard, Sheriff Grady's giving an update to an incident that happened 3 months ago where a Moorish sovereign citizen fired upon and injured 2 deputies at a traffic stop.
And months and months. And it's by the grace of God that they're alive. Fractions of an inch. And they would be dead. Anything else? Before I go, we've gotten several phone calls. polksheriff.org/donate. We've had people saying, we want to help. We know that, look, we're going to give them the best medical care. Obviously their salaries are intact, everything's solid, but there's a lot of incidental costs that go along whenever someone gets killed, and we have people asking us, if you want to donate, we'll certainly split whatever donations in half I had one man call me this morning and said, I'm sending you a check for $7,000. How do I do it? But there's a lot of cost because parents, wives can't go to work and all kinds of issues. So if you want to donate, this is how you do it, to our charity, and then we'll in turn make sure they get the money. All right, God bless y'all. See you later. Keep them in your prayers, our deputies in your prayers, and also keep the dead suspects' family in your prayers because they are obviously distraught and have no idea that their son was capable of such conduct.
That's true. Okay. Ugh. Hmm. All right, I want to see. This is So this is the so I want to have this kind of in the background, but mostly like I mean the crux of this discussion kind of goes into um we don't like especially over this weekend I've been seeing it so much is that nobody I mean this has been going on for decades, let's be honest. But nobody really knows what any of these charged language charged uh what would I call them? These descriptions or these ideologies. There we go. Nobody knows what these ideologies mean. And specifically I refer to like the isms, but specifically like especially the political ideologies. Like I see like the worst offenders. I see fascism, socialism, and communism thrown out so often and so easily that nobody Zionism is not evil, Raymond. But again, but they see Raymond that depends on how you define Zionism, which is exactly part of the problem. Your definition of Zionism probably might not square with mine. Yeah, exactly. I'm getting distracted. The issue would go from there is so like for example like socialism. Like socialism, what is that? Like when you talk about socialism, you want to say that it's okay, it's the God.
Kristen TM just donated 50. They said I'm.
Well, yeah, I define Zionism as the belief that the Jewish people should have a Jewish majority state in the Levant, which is where they have it. Apparently, some other people think it's a lot more nefarious than that, but I feel like that seems to be what the case is. Ugh. Meanwhile, the issue, so socialism is when when the vast majority or the most of the means of production is collectively owned, either through the workers or through the state. And nobody and the reality is nobody in American politics who's at least an elected official uh comes even close to that. And yeah, that includes AOC and Bernie Sanders. You could argue that they want to put in a lot more government intervention in a lot of industries, and maybe even, you could make the argument that maybe they would nationalize maybe like the oil industry or some one or two major industries, but you don't hear them saying that they want a full-on collective ownership of the means of production. Like, absolutely not. They don't want. They've never advocated for that. Meanwhile, the left loves to throw out fascism every single day. Trump's a fascist. This and that. I mean, given what Trump did, I'd say he's pretty close. But I don't know if I would actually call him a full-on fascist. But given what he did on January 6th, he's the closest to it, I think. Well, maybe Woodrow Wilson might also be up there, but that's a discussion for another day. But if you're talking about who I was asking, Richard, did they have proof that Trump made that phone call? Yes, this is Trump.
But there were no Democrats.
Okay, so here's the so the context of this phone call is Donald Trump, his chief of staff, and one or two of his attorneys are talking to the Secretary of State, Raffensperger of Georgia, along with other Georgia election officials, to try and pressure him to, overturn Georgia's results due to cockamamie fraud allegations that have never been proven in court. If Trump did something on J6, then charge him. Well, Celine, they did charge him. They charged him last year. That's what the Jack Smith indictments are.
Either, and there was no law enforcement. Late in the morning, they went early.
I don't know where you're getting that idea that Trump is being explicitly charged, and this phone call is an explicitly no, Celine, no, you're wrong. The case that died in court was the Florida Mar-a-Lago case. Jack Smith's case for defrauding the American public and for conspiracy against rights, that's still ongoing. That has not been killed. So you're absolutely wrong there.
The black shield, and they pulled out the votes. Those votes were put there a number of hours before the table was put there. I think it was, Brad, you would know, it was probably 8 hours or 7 hours before, and then it was stuffed with votes. They weren't in an official voter box. They were in what looked to be suitcases.
Well, here's the thing, Celine. You might be right that those cases may end up dying, but they won't die as a result of lack of evidence. They'll die thanks to Roberts giving the president sweeping criminal immunity that will obliterate key pieces of evidence. What key pieces of evidence would be the conversations between Trump and his DOJ officials.
Or trunks, suitcases, but they weren't in voter boxes. The minimum number it could be, because we watched it and they watched it certified in slow motion instant replay.
Anyway,
Believe it, but had slow
so the issue that I got,
magnified many times over, and the minimum it was 18,000 ballots, all for Biden.
oh
But
crap, I still
out-of-state
owe this.
voters, they voted in Georgia, but they were from out of state, of 4,925. You had absentee ballots.
Where am I going?
Sent to vacant. They were absentee ballots sent to vacant addresses. They had nothing on them about addresses. That's 2,326. Drop boxes, which was very bad. You had drop boxes that were picked up. We have photographs and we have affidavits from many people. I don't know if you saw the hearings, but you have drop boxes where the box was picked up and not delivered for 3 days. So all sorts of things could have happened.
So I mean, I've already read through Jack Smith's indictment, and you can see the areas where
many times the 11,779 margin.
there's not gonna where pieces of evidence are not gonna be that can't be used in court anymore. But however, this phone call can be because I think you can easily make the case that Trump talking to Georgia state officials here is not within his core powers because he's not acting in his official capacity as the president. He's acting in his private capacity as a candidate. The evidence of that suggesting because one, the feds really don't have any business telling Georgia how to conduct its election, and two, Trump, no member of the DOJ is here on the phone call. There's no mention of a DOJ investigation. This is all just Trump, the president, trying to strong arm the election, trying to strong arm the officials into finding 11,780 votes to overturn the election, despite the election officials telling him over and over and over again that there's no evidence of this fraud. Celine, that's what everybody keeps on saying, but people don't really understand it. This is a piece of evidence. This piece of evidence alone is not going to convict Trump of anything. It's a timeline of events of what he did from moment to moment to moment that led him to a guilty verdict of him trying to rig the election, trying to overturn the results of the election and remain in power.
What's your decision? You're back. Did you decide to join?
Again, Celine, hopefully we can get a fair trial. But again, Justice Roberts decided to make the presidency above the law in the most egregious ways imaginable. My issue, though, but again, going back to the main thrust of the topic, is, people throw out when you start labeling everybody as a sovereign citizen, as a communist or a fascist or a Nazi, socialist, like the meanings of the words, or Zionist, the meanings of the words become completely obliterated of their meaning, and it's just there's no point anymore. Like, comrade Arty, true. So like my thing was like, for example, if you talk about Zionism, well, I mean Christian, or the cat, I mean Christian nationalist. Honestly, that's a euphemism because Nick Fuentes, I would say Nick Fuentes and his ilk and other groypers, I would say they more than likely fit the description of a fascist because they want, they do not respect. Nick Fuentes himself has admitted that he does not care about the Constitution, and he wants to have an autocratic Catholic figurehead at the helm, and with strong overarching powers.
Captain Morgan.
When where else? Yeah. Like, right, they want a theocracy, of course. Well, that's the ironic thing, Hitchbot, is that the groypers, they're far more diverse than most people would think. I mean, Enrique Tarrio was the leader of the Proud Boys, so yeah, the groypers, for ironically enough, are pretty open to new members. Yeah, the words are so every time I see, oh my God, Harris and Biden are going to are a bunch of socialists or communists, I just roll my eyes. Like, oh my God, the Republicans are going to turn us into a neo-Nazi fascist state. It's like, it's just tiresome, and it just distracts from the overall discussion to any discussion of policy that people may want to have, because, you know, whatever. Did I not get a I did get a mission, didn't I? Raven, as much as I hate Trump, I don't think Trump was saying it that like that. I mean, again, this is coming from me. I hate Trump, and I feel like he doesn't deserve this charity, but I don't think he meant it like that. Meant it what you think it means. Well, Celine, here's the thing. That I feel like both the left and right don't want to admit for whatever reason. They don't seem to like to admit this, but racial minorities can be racist. So that's not really an argument, I feel like. Yeah, for some reason, both sides of the aisle think that ethnic minorities can't be racist. It's just wild to me. Yeah, no, see, that's the thing, Liz. I mean, oh God. I mean, the left pretends that individualized racism doesn't exist. Whereas the right pretends that that systemic racism doesn't exist. Systemic racism, I mean, it's probably still there here in the country, but I think it's not nearly as widespread and how do you say? No, yeah, I would say it's not nearly as widespread as the left likes to think it is. But I'm not saying it doesn't exist at all. But yeah, the left pretends that individual racism doesn't exist. It's like, oh no, black people are allowed to use racial slurs against white people because they're aggrieved or something. Yeah, remember when Twitch had the whole thing about Cracker? And how that was like a whole thing, and people on the left got so upset that streamers were getting banned. Were getting multi-day bans for saying the word cracker, because it's a slur. It doesn't matter if the word isn't as impactful as the N word. It's still a racial slur. Like, period. But people don't want to understand that. People don't do that. They don't. It doesn't process them in their minds. But but yeah, but see, racism is also another one. Is also another one that has lost all of its meaning. I mean, I would like to think that racism is the the belief in the superiority or inferiority of a particular group of people based on their skin color. I mean, I thought that was I thought that's pretty easy. Raymond, I don't know why, Raymond, I don't know why you want to say, like, oh my God, Richard Spencer says something vaguely complimentary about Israel, therefore Israel bad. I feel like you need to have a better argument than that, because you know that could be thrown right back at you, in a lot of different avenues, right?
Oh, you're back. How'd it go? I'm sure you did. And I'm glad to know that you did what I asked. Follow me.
I mean, you know what? I'm willing to bet you a lot of money, Raymond, that he also says that Japan is an ideal ethno state. He'd also probably say that Korea is probably an ideal ethno state, or other countries that have that are defined by its nation. So are they all bad too? It's just a foolish argument to make.
Your eyes, ears, and wits are every bit as important as your badge and your sidearm. Excuse me, Marshall.
Well, yeah, that's also true, NCT. Hey, thank you, Vilify. Appreciate the $5. None of those places have concentration camps. Okay. Yeah. No. Israel doesn't have concentration camps. I get it, Raymond. I know the meme about Gaza, but no, just stop.
I've got just one question. Do you pledge to defend? Take these. You're now a free.
So what do you call an open air prison that you can't leave? I call it a generalized blockade.
Welcome aboard, Deputy.
Wish we could throw you a welcome party, but there's work to do. We got word from a farmer on Montera Luna. She says someone's trying to take a farm. Just the name, Michaela Wagner. There have been Wagners on Montera Luna for a long time.
Yeah, that's also something that's not talked about. The British actually had concentration camps. Not the concentration camps as we understand them to be. Thank you, Germany. But they had concentration camps, I think, in World War I and World War II. I also agree with you there, Linux guy. It is very weird and odd that certain races are free to use racial slurs like in the public sphere, and as if it has no significant impact, but then it's also verboten for all other races or other races to use them. I mean, because how many times? Because it's not like the N word is only permitted with black people. I mean, I've seen plenty of Latinos and Asians use that word depending on where and how they grew up. Oh, God. Yes, Raymond. The Autobahn in Israel. Yeah, they learned some things in the war, didn't they? Jesus. Like, I get that you're so desperate to call Israel like a Nazi state, but that's exactly the problem here. Yeah, wish we had a president like Kennedy. I mean, yeah, I feel like that's not happening any. Happy to cite it for me. What are you going to talk about? What the? Are you going to talk about the Leahy or the Irgun? Are you going to drop that one, or is it something else? Never ignoring the fact that Al Husseini literally recruited Nazis and participated in propaganda. Joshua Lee, just like all the stuff video games at DEI, their companies taking diversity to extreme, being sexist, racist against women and white people. I think that's also a little bit overblown. I think that there's an element of truth, Josh, but I feel like it's people like take that way too off. Way too out of pocket and gas it up to something ridiculous. I mean, yeah, there's that whole Sweet Baby Games thing, and yeah, a lot of this stuff is absolutely cringe and very, very weird. And I'm kind of glad that they're kind of like, taken down. But again, DEI, that's another thing. DEI has lost all of its meaning too. You know how fast DEI has lost its meaning? Now DEI, I can't tell what a DEI means. DEI can be like anything from an unnecessary implementation of a marginalized group into a medium or a position without any merit to oh my god, another black character in a movie. Like, oh god, DEI. Like, it's lost all of its meaning, and I have no idea what it means anymore because I question how people are using it at this point. Like, I feel like conservatives have completely obliterated the meaning of that word because I don't know whether they're genuinely have issues with meritless awards or meritless promotions, or they're like, oh no, a black woman, DEI, obviously. Yeah, I agree with you as well, Elspeth. I agree with you that all I want is a good story and a good narrative and good characters. But it's like, at this point, you can't have any fun anymore. Everything has to be politicized to hell and back. I just heard, have I seen The Acolyte? Hell no. I haven't had a Disney Plus subscription in a long time.
Back when I was a kid, I used to love exploring and making maps. These canyons would have kept me busy for months. I'd have looked into every nook and cranny.
Am I going? Oh, hurry up. What was I gonna say? I would say the Acolyte's probably the biggest piece of evidence for about that. And again, I'm not disputing that it doesn't that kind of crazy radicalism exists. I just feel like now it's being labeled at every single piece of medium that may have a marginalized character in them, without even pretending to give the medium a chance to you know, do anything. That's my issue. Where have I? What else? Yeah. Anyway. What was I saying? What was I actually saying before I got distracted by DEI? I completely forgot. I completely forgot what I was talking about. Winston's doing okay. He's back to his regular medication. But see, but the other issue is Fizzy, is that sometimes people can, that, where people say will have like legitimate criticisms about the Acolyte, but then the anti-critics will say, "Oh, you're just mad because there's a black woman in it," without ever like giving the analysis a fair assessment. Oh, I completely forgot what I was gonna say. Well, I know there was isms, but I forgot which ism I was talking about. Maybe it was racism? But were we still on racism? Probably. Oh, that's right. It was Zionism. Yeah, the Zionism. That's right. Yeah, that's what it was. Oh yeah, I was gonna say, Raymond. I don't necessarily care about what Einstein's view of Israel is. I mean, I respect him for his genius and physics. I'm not necessarily going to say anything about his views on Israel. I mean, there's something to consider, but I'm not going to take. He's a physicist, not a not a politician or a diplomat or statesman.
Nice to get out under the sky for a spell.
Not just science. How about the declarations of British scientists in 1940 who were fine to keep Jews in Germany and wouldn't take any Palestine as they were too old? I've never even heard of that. What I heard was that the Zionists got really pissed off with the Brits capping their immigration to Israel. That was effectively leaving the Jews stranded in Germany while the Holocaust was going on. And so that led to the Irgun and the Leahy committing terrorist attacks against British troops in the mid-1940s. Israel Palestine alone is its own freaking live stream, because there's so much misinformation that can be bred on both sides that you can have a completely different understanding of history if you only listen to a single side. It's kind of wild how bad it is. And so I think that's also part of the problem why that issue can never really be solved, or feels like it can't be solved. Ow. The U.S. Yes, they did. But they did have the option to go to Israel, or well, what would eventually become Israel, and they were blocked by the British. The British had control of that area. And yeah, the U.S. and the other Western powers like Canada also bear some responsibility for that. But there was a safe haven for the Jews at that time, and they wouldn't allow it because the Arabs got huffy about the number of Jewish migrants coming in, and they wanted the Brits to step in and stop that. The Zionists, no, the Brits issued that policy from the request of the Arabs. I don't know where you're getting that, but because the Brits, on behalf of the Zionists, cracked down on the Arab revolt and the Arab riots in the late 1930s. What am I doing? But even if, like, well, let's even set that aside. Let's say that you might be correct. How does that get us to a solution today? And I asked this of both Zionists and well, Israelis as well as Palestinian supporters. Like, but I also understand that understanding foundation of the history can, what is it? What's the word? Setting the right timeline can lay the foundation for an eventual solution. Like, I want this to, Liz, I want this to have a decent discussion without it blowing up into insults and infighting. I mean, and that means, like, and that doesn't mean I even don't want people to be, like, passionate about where they're at. You can be passionate, but it's one of the big things I hate is, like, the application of isms. Just call somebody XYZ and then never engage with a discussion about it. And it's frustrating. How long has it been going? I mean, it depends on Hitchbot. It depends on who you ask. That's the thing. That's the thing. When this Arab-Israeli conflict began, you'll get a lot of different answers depending on who you talk to. I mean, I would say that the modern conflict as it is today probably started in the latter 1800s, like 1880, 1890. So trying to claim ancestral rights based on who was here first is such a stupid and meaningless endeavor, because if you were to apply that to everywhere else, you would have a complete rewrite of every single nation on this earth. It's just stupid. It's stupid for the Israelis to be like, oh, we were here 4,000 years ago. And it's also stupid for the Palestinians. Oh, we were here in 1890, when like neither of them were originally settled in the land. Ugh. See you later, Richard. What am I doing here? Celine, that okay. I mean, so Celine, does being there, and leaving for 2,000 years, mean that you're able to come back, to the land and kick everybody out? Is that your God-given right to do that? I don't know if you want to make that argument, Celine. I hope that's not the argument you're trying to make here. Well, good. Okay, good. I was gonna say. I would say that, Juan, I'd say the conflict started in the late 1800s. And then going into the Mandate, post World War I. And then, and then you going into like the issues that came about in the 1920s with the migration, and then the increasing violence that came about, and then going into the 30s. And yeah, I feel like the conflict starting in 1948 is not correct, because there's so much back and forth in the decades prior that has to be applied to get a full context of what led to the creation of Israel. The hell? Why is my... Oh. Ugh.
What can I help you with? You've got something for me?
A water war? Don't most of those countries have desalinization plants to get fresh water, or are you talking about something else?
Must have been difficult. In fact, I'm amazed you were able to deal with them at all. Those types of corporations remind me why I never ventured into business. I can't stand that way of life.
That's incorrect, because there were conflicts. There was massive amounts of what did they call themselves? What did the Jewish community call themselves back then? The Yishuv. Yeah, the Yishuv was like the overarching, I don't want to say government, but the overarching leadership of the the Jewish community in that area, in the 1910s and 20s, that where they lived in the Palestinian Mandate, and there was conflict already brewing. Between the conflict was starting to happen a lot between the Arab population and the Jewish immigrants, like from the 1920s onward, right up to where the before 1948, there was already a civil war. What would easily be described as a civil war in the Palestinian Mandate before the Mandate ended.
There's something I need to talk to you about.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's try this again. I mean, either way, like if you really want to see like the light at the end of the tunnel, the problem that we're having here is that neither side wants I feel like the only reasonable solution here is some form of a two-state apparatus. But the problem is like neither side want that like at all. The Palestinians, they want a full one state of everything that was once the Palestinian Mandate, and either ruling over the Israelis or basically kicking them all out. The Israeli leadership right now under Netanyahu, they have no desire to give the Palestinians any sort of a state and are content with the status quo, which involves, why do I keep missing this thing? Which involves continuing to have a blockade in Gaza and putting in more settlers in the West Bank, thus exacerbating an already increasing issue. Sorry, but there was no Jewish state to war with until there was a Jewish community. Do you deny that there was a large Jewish community that was growing prior to the creation of the state? And do you deny that there was several instances of violence between the Arabs and the Jewish community? It doesn't, like, the fact that Israel wasn't created by that does not dispute the fact that that there was a Jewish community that was there for several decades, and there was infighting between the Jews and the Arabs in that region long before Israel was announced. Like, again, I'm not saying that there was a Jewish state. I don't know why you keep saying that. I'm admitting that there was only the Palestinian Mandate. That's what existed there.
like we're heading in the right direction.
Oh yeah, so yeah, the only way you could do that is one, the Palestinians have to understand that they're not getting all of Israel back, period. And the second thing is that the Israelis know that they absolutely cannot let the status quo continue on any further. Like there's they need a change in leadership for that to happen. And I think part of that does mean applying at least some measure of pressure onto Israel to, kind of get them to come to the table. But the problem is that it's a two-part issue. You could arguably get an Israeli leadership that's willing to come to the table. It's going to be a lot more difficult to get the Palestinians to come to the table.
They definitely passed this way. Let's just hope they're not perched up on these canyon walls, waiting to snipe at us.
Yeah, I'm well aware of the nunnery that is Ben Gavir, Raymond. Like I don't even understand why Hamas tried elected to issue the attack when they did, when Netanyahu was like on the fucking ropes in terms of his leadership, and he can only scrap together a coalition government by getting the most radical of the Knesset. Like Netanyahu was already deeply unpopular with Israelis. The attack was approved by the oh my fucking god, Raymond, really? Really? Oh god, you're just as conspiracy brained as the right wing is. Oh, kill me. Kill me. This is my problem. This is it right here. This is it right here. God, kill me now. Oh. Oh. Oh my God, Raymond, do you think that the January 6th was the Fed's direction? Let me ask you. I'll answer your question, but if you'll answer mine first. Do you think January 6th was a Fed's direction? Like the right says it is? Yep, it's all Antifa.
You smell that? I bet my
Christ.
wood smoke from a campfire. They're close.
Raymond, you remember Raymond, you remember how I chided you about trying to say like, "Oh my god, did you know that Richard Spencer says Israel is like his ideal ethno-state?" You know, you saying that is the equivalent of me saying, "Raymond, you kind of sound like a groyper. You kind of sound like Nick Fuentes whenever you talk about Israel." That's the comparison that's why you should be using arguments like that. A groyper is a nickname for a white nationalist. And they're explicitly anti-Semitic. But yeah, so like that's why we can't have this argument. Everything has to be conspiratorial when it comes to my side looking bad in a particular event, or to uh minimize it. So that or minimize something like October 7th by saying, "Oh no, the Mossad allowed it to happen." No, it couldn't possibly be that Hamas. It's solely an issue of Hamas. The Mossad allowed it to happen. Oh no, it can't possibly be that a bunch of MAGA Trump supporters decided to get all fucking stupid and foment an insurrection. No, it's all the feds and Antifa trying to make them look bad. I hate it. I fucking hate. I hate it. I hate it. This is why I got myself out of politics, because we can't have a discussion on the facts. It's always a goddamn conspiracy where no one wants to take accountability for their own side whenever they fuck up. You're not being tongue-in-cheek, Raymond. You're not. You're saying that? You're not being tongue-in-cheek. Just as every single time I hear Trump supporters say, "Oh well," where they mention fucking Ray Epps, like they're not being truthful or like they're not being tongue in cheek. Well, you know, I heard about Ray Epps. You know, he said we need to go into the Capitol. I mean, have you heard about that? You know about that? Not. It's like you'll throw out. Oh no, I mean, you know, what was the Mossad doing, right? You know, what were they doing there? It's so asinine. Kill me, fam. Damn it, Jimbo! Oh, there it is. And there it is. That. You know what? You know what? I'm glad. I'm glad I had this discussion. I'm glad I decided to have this live stream. I'm not doing this shit anymore. Because people I thought were respectable are easily susceptible to this brain rot, to conspiracy brain. Tough. I am and oh no, don't get me wrong. I am not myself. I am not immune to propaganda myself. I'm saying I'm not here to say like, oh, I'm above it all. It's just frustrating. Yeah, but trying to pull that game through. But don't you understand that doing that whole game theory is what leads you down a dangerous path of concluding that the Mossad either, I mean, you pretty much said it. You didn't even say like they allowed it to happen. You said that it was signed off by the Mossad, suggesting that the Mossad like gave the green light to Hamas to initiate the attack somehow. But then he walked it back. It's like, oh no, they probably knew it. They probably knew about it, and let it and you know, allowed to let it happen. I mean, did Bush do 9/11, Raymond, or was that the Mossad too? Because now I got to ask you questions about this.
Rougher than I expected. Let's talk.
Kill me. Yeah, there it is. Gave Netanyahu get out of jail free card. Yep, there it is. Yep. You know how you can easily spin everything? You can spin so many things. This is exactly whenever I talk to Trump supporters about January 6th. It's exactly this. It's like, I'm just asking questions. Like, you know, who would benefit the most? Who would benefit the most from a riot in the Capitol building? Oh, it'd be the enemies of Donald Trump. Ah, that means that has to mean that they probably had a hand in it. They had informants. They were in there. My understanding, Raymond, was that the reason why they pulled troops or personnel out of Gaza was to crack down and give protection to the West Bank settlers. I mean, was the vaccine created by Mossad too? Celine, that video from okay, fuck you, Celine. Now you're gonna get it. I ripped Raymond a new one. Now it's your turn. That video from that was posted about Nancy Pelosi from her daughter. All that said was that Nancy Pelosi was saying how she fucked up and that she did not have that she should have had a National Guard troops at the Capitol beforehand. It says nothing about her denying National Guard at the time of January 6th. It says nothing about her like knowing about January 6th and saying, "Oh, let's let it happen to make Trump look bad." It says fucking nothing. It's just Pelosi saying, "I fucked up. It was my responsibility, and I did not have enough people there on January. I did not have the National Guard there." Sorry. Well, sorry I got ahead of myself, Celine. I'm sorry. But you know what? But you know who but Nancy Pelosi, they did. Yes, I'm not going to pretend to say that Pelosi and Mayor Bowser share a significant amount of the accountability for not having enough personnel there on January 6th. And I'm not going to pretend that that's not the case either. So yeah, Bowser and Pelosi share that responsibility. But you know what? You know who could have done something on the day of? Who could have like pushed for more authorization to get the National Guard there? A lot faster. Donald Trump. But instead of doing that, Donald Trump sat in the White House, drinking a Diet Coke and watched the insurrection unfold in front of TV. And instead of calling either the National Guard or calling the FBI or any sort of law enforcement agency to give assistance to the Capitol Police, he and Giuliani were calling senators to try and get them to delay the certification of the vote instead of trying to protect them. So Donald Trump, like, even if you say that he didn't, motherfucker, no, Trump, Celine, Trump, this is the DC National Guard. It's federal. It's fucking federal. The buck stops with the president. Do not pretend to me that Nancy Pelosi is the sole arbiter of the fucking DC National Guard. Are you high? Are you fucking high? No. Why would the Speaker of the House be at the top of the chain for the DC National Guard? Can you stop? Can you stop and think about that for once in your fucking life? Celine, post it. Please post that for me. Post that shit for me. I swear to God that. Oh, man. Because, again, the DC is a federal jurisdiction. Ergo, the DC National Guard is under the command of the federal government. And who is the commander-in-chief of the U.S. military? It's Donald Trump. This crack cocaine-induced theory that Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, is somehow at the top of the chain for the DC National Guard when if you like when in reality, if you wanted to make that argument, you should make the argument that it would be Mayor Bowser who would be at the top because Mayor Bowser is the mayor of DC, just like the governors are the heads with the respective state National Guards. This idea that the speaker what? Oh no! Oh God! Oh my fucking Christ! Sorry, I shouldn't be using language like that. Oh God! Oh my God! This is. Are you actually citing to me something that's cited by sovereign citizens? No shot. Do you think that this means that Nancy Pelosi is the head of the DC National Guard? Do you think that Article 1, Section 8, Clause 15 it's one of the enumerated powers of Congress. It says to provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. Do you honestly think that that means that the chain of command for the DC National Guard is Nancy Pelosi, and not that that Congress can permit the president to call forth the state National Guards to help repel invasions and insurrections, such as calling in the National Guards to Iraq or Afghanistan? Okay. Okay, so you are reading this completely incorrectly. This enumerated power grants Congress the authority to call up militias for use in aid of the execution of the laws. For example, calling out the National Guard to go help in Desert Storm or Afghanistan, or if a national disaster. It does not mean that Congress literally has the chain of command authority to call up the DC National Guard. That DC is a DC is a federal territory. Ergo, the head honcho in federal territory is the president. Like, end of. My understanding is that the DC National Guard is under the chain of command with the Department of Defense. Now, here's the thing. Again, I'm conceding. I'm absolutely conceding the argument that Pelosi and Bowser dropped the ball hard in terms of not giving the Capitol Police the appropriate personnel and tools to fight back against the insurrectionists. But we have to talk about what caused what led up to the insurrection, and whether or not the president could have or should have made greater effort to assist Congress at the time the insurrection was ongoing. Those are the more important questions. Hold on. Here we go. I hate to break it to you, Celine, but Trump is part of the swamp. I know you guys y'all don't want to admit that, but he's been a DC insider for a while.
A crucial question.
What exactly was our commander-in-chief doing during the hours of violence? Today, we address precisely that issue, and I now recognize the gentlewoman from Virginia.
From the time when President Trump ended his speech until the moment when he finally told the mob to go home, a span of 187 minutes, more than 3 hours. What you will learn is that
So Elaine, Lori, and I decided to lead the 187-minute hearing because we were both veterans on the committee. Elaine and I had taken the oath twice as a member of Congress and as a
See, the thing is, Celine, we're not. I'm well aware of the bias that is the January 6th committee. And so I'm not necessarily taking everything that the January 6th committee says or narrates as gospel. But you know what's really awesome is that a ton of the transcripts and the documents and the emails and the testimony is available for you to read.
military member. How are you? And I think it was important for us to just hopefully express that outrage of how there are people that are willing to die for this country, and this guy couldn't even follow through on his basic oath to defend the constitutional branch of government.
Here's what will be clear by the end of this hearing. President Trump did not fail to act during the 187 minutes between leaving the ellipse and telling the mob to go home. He chose not to act.
The 187 minutes began as Trump left the stage and demanded that his motorcade drive him to the Capitol.
The president was still adamant to go to the Capitol, but his Secret Service detail was equally determined to not let him go. That led to a heated argument with the detail that delayed the departure of the motorcade to the White House.
Later, Cassidy Hutchinson heard reports about what happened.
So once the president had gotten into the vehicle with Bobby Engel, who is the head of Mr. Trump's security detail, he thought that they were going up to the Capitol, and when Bobby had relayed to him, "We're not, we don't have the assets to do it, it's not secure, we're going back to the West Wing," the president had very strong, a very angry response to that, The president said something to the effect of, "I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now." To which Bobby responded, "Sir, we have to go back to the West Wing."
He saw this crowd and he wanted to participate in some manner, whether it was leading the crowd or being part of the crowd or going, but certainly there was a level of frustration when he was told that he couldn't. That he was so focused on disrupting the joint session that day, he himself wanted to go.
When he couldn't go to the Capitol with the crowd, the president returned to the White House.
In some ways, the most telling portrayal of the president and his intent here is not what happens in the lead up to the attack on the Capitol, but what he does or doesn't do when it's taking place and in the aftermath of it.
President Trump went to the private dining room off the Oval Office. Witnesses told us that on January 6th, President Trump sat in his usual spot, at the head of the table, facing a television hanging on the wall.
I feel like if Celine, if you leaving is
all afternoon.
This is
it's not
real. It's happening on Capitol
it's not
Hill.
good.
We're trying to get some ground truth to exactly what's happening.
Because the sad reality, Celine, is I feel like the reason why I've been focusing on January 6th is I feel like there's been a completely revisionist history that's been made, even by those who at the time of January 6th were saying completely different things that they're saying now.
He's in that little private dining room off the Oval Office. The TV is on. He's watching it take place. He knows what's happening. He understands what's happening. And his instinct is to, in effect, egg them on.
At 1:49, he tweeted out a link to the recording of his ellipse speech. This was the same speech in which he knowingly sent an armed mob to the Capitol. But President Trump made no comment about the lawlessness and the violence.
They are locking down the Capitol complex. No one is allowed in or out. Now, just a few
The White House is just in shock. Many of them testified that they tried to get the president to take some sort of action to get the crowd to leave the Capitol.
White House counsel Cipollone was one of Trump's advisors.
You know what, Celine, you're probably right. I don't know why I should bother. Because everybody, I mean, for God's sakes, I tried to talk to Wonder Woman and forget about it. She was so dead set in her belief of that Day 6 was a Fedsurrection, that there was a massive amounts of voter fraud, and that every single indictment against Trump is fake. That the civil suit that Trump lost was done by a cheating whore, according to her words. Like, there's no point. You're right. There's no point.
Urging action.
I just want to watch the rest of this so that people understand what I want. The reason I'm showing this is I want people to know what Trump was doing between the end of his speech and when he finally went out to the Rose Garden. And what him and his staff, or at least his staff, and even members of his own family were wanting him to do, but he elected not to do it.
And forceful response statement, public statement that people need to leave the Capitol now.
Did you continue, Mr. Cipollone, to push for a stronger statement?
Yes.
Were you joined in that effort by Ivanka Trump?
Yes.
Eric Hershey?
Yes.
By Mark Meadows?
Yes.
These aides and lawyers rushing into this private dining room, trying to get him to do something, trying to get him to speak out, trying to get him to stop the attack, and he won't do it.
He was enjoying
True, Torbjorn.
Loved them, and they were accomplishing something that he wanted to have accomplished, which was to delay and derail the certification of this election.
The committee saw it as evidence of what the president had been planning all along.
It says volumes about the president's intent. It suggests that the president is reluctant to call this off, that he sees his people fighting as a potentially positive thing. His own daughter is encouraging him to more forcefully stop the violence.
And the fact that he does not, for hours after being aware of the violence, tell people to go home, really, really powerful evidence of his intent.
Now, look at what you've got now. You have protesters inside the Capitol building. The other big question is, where is the vice president?
The Secret Service rushed Pence away from the crowd.
If we lose any more time, we may lose the ability to leave.
With the Capitol overrun, the president fired off a tweet about his vice president.
Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country.
Yeah. Yeah, saying that, you think saying that or tweeting that out didn't further gas up an already pissed off crowd? I mean, I'd say so.
True. I'm hearing reports.
That wasn't a de-escalation.
I'm telling you, if Pence caved, we're gonna drag mother through the streets.
As that tweet goes out at 2:24 p.m., his supporters see it, and there is an intense surge in the rioting. That tweet threw fuel on the fire.
Mike Pence has betrayed the United States of America.
Oh, speaking of Nick Fuentes, there he was.
Goes down there to the Capitol and chants "Hang Mike Pence," and they actually build a gallows out in front of the Capitol. I mean, they meant it.
I can only imagine what Mike Pence must have thought when the full weight of the betrayal must have become so palpable for him, when he must have thought, it has come to this, that the one moment as vice president where I have stood on principle, I am being treated as the enemy, and they've come for me, and the president is attacking me. Not only is he not calling to say, "Are you okay?" He's egging it on. It is an amazing moment.
At the White House, Pat Cipollone was growing concerned for the vice president.
I remember Pat saying, "Mark, we need to do something more. They're literally calling for the vice president to be effing hung." And Mark had responded something to the effect of, "You heard him, Pat. He thinks Mike deserves it. He doesn't think they're doing anything wrong."
When the crowd is chanting, "Hang Mike Pence," he says, well, maybe our people have it right. Maybe Mike deserves it.
Donald Trump embraced the whirlwind on January 6th. He, in his speech at the Ellipse, in his tweets afterwards, in his indifference to the pleas of his family and advisors to do something more, to call them up, he seemed to revel in the chaos and violence that he himself had unleashed.
Copy. Clear, we're coming out now. All right, make a way.
We had the footage from inside the Capitol where Pence is rushed down the steps by his Secret Service detail along with his family.
To his credit, he did not take the Secret Service advice and leave the Capitol. He stayed. He provided direction to what was going on. He offered the stability at the moment that the president refused to do.
Finally, police began to regain control of the Capitol.
The Capitol grounds have been secure. Police had to use tear gas. Troops are deployed around the Capitol perimeter to prevent any more violence of what we saw this afternoon.
The call we got from Wagner Farm turned out to be a little more interesting.
Good chase.
Some men were trying to run.
When you're ready, sir.
President Trump finally gave in and went out to the Rose Garden at 4:03.
You tell me when. When you're ready, sir.
For 187 minutes, he was sitting there watching the news, wondering if his people would win, until he saw that law enforcement had turned the tide. And only when law enforcement turned the tide did he then begrudgingly try to cover his backside and look like he was against the violence in the first place.
Who's behind me?
He's gone around. We're all clear now.
I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had a election. Let me see. I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have.
When he ultimately issues his video, this isn't a guy who is apologetic for any of this. This isn't somebody who says, "Oops, this has gone awry. This has gone too far." Quite the opposite.
So go home. We love you. You're very special.
Very
I know
special.
how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
We love you. You are special. These are people that have assaulted the U.S. Capitol building, have attacked Capitol police officers, are trying to stop the proceedings of Congress. And Trump does tell them to go home, but then immediately adds, "We love you. You are special."
So, in a press conference that he did on January 7th, he has a far stronger tone about the rioters, but even then, he still didn't want to concede the election.
Special Counsel Jack Smith has cited those 187 minutes in his conspiracy case against Trump.
The defendant's knowing and corrupt intent is clear from his actions and purposeful inaction during the attack on the Capitol.
The prosecutor's going to show that as he got the result he hoped for, a big scene, a riot, and then of course he wasn't going to do anything to stop the riot because he had use to make of it. And that use was to use the people's fear to try to get them to do what he wanted.
All right. Let's, again, I want to sandwich this because I'm hungry. Let's sandwich this with something less spicy.
On the late evening of October 19th, 2023,
What the hell is this AI?
The Orlando Police Department responded to the scene at Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida, upon request for a potential disorderly woman who was potentially going to be trespassed from the theme park. The following shows the body-worn camera footage of what happened during the incident.
Yes, sir. Okay. No, I can get an Uber. What I'm trying to say is go home.
That sounds like it, Torbjorn.
They literally can take the bus here and we can go home.
Is that somebody to come pick you up?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm Officer Lemmerman. This is Officer Oliver. Okay. Oliver, sorry.
Yeah, they try to get me to come out of Universal.
Yep.
But they didn't explain why, and I use veteran. I've done the whole shenanigans. I've done the fucking rigmarole. I've done
Rigmarole.
I don't care if I ever come back here. To be honest with you.
Okay. So what they're doing right now is asking you to leave property.
That's
Okay.
fine.
So do you have a ride coming? Or
I have friends that we all came together.
I understand that.
So that's why I called my friends and I said, "Where are you?
Are they in the park
coming?"
still?
It's from what I'm understanding is that they're very close.
Okay.
I don't know how close.
Okay. Do you know where their vehicle is?
On the where are we? The bottom.
We're at the busway. So they're in one of these parking
I
garages.
feel like maybe on the top.
Do you want to take an Uber? Because you're not going to be able to wait for them.
I mean, I don't care if I have to wait for them or not. Honestly, like this park is.
So your option is to take an Uber? or they're gonna press charges for trespass after warning, and you're gonna go into
I
jail.
don't know. They're like talking about pressing charges for like being at Universal because they can't fathom the fact that I'm in the military.
I was trying to find something quick.
It's like,
So we can either start walking towards the Uber,
I don't know. It's very weird.
or we can end up starting to go to jail.
No, I'm telling you that the people here are telling you. Yeah, that's fine.
So we're gonna go over to the roadway to the sidewalk.
What's your rate?
Obviously what? Because I don't fucking listen to yes sir, yes.
Yep.
That's still on part. But the problem is that they're very much like,
Eventually, Celine. Eventually, I'll visit there.
I'm talking about, I'm literally talking about Universal. We went to, no, we went in and they took us out.
You guys happy with her on the sidewalk?
Yeah.
Tyler,
on Uber?
she's apparently going to wait for her friend. I doubt that's going to be a viable option.
I mean, if she's waiting for her friend, she's going to come back on property.
Again, once she's off,
Yeah.
she's in compliance of the trespassing. She comes back. That's up to you guys. If you want to.
Yeah, of course.
If you A, know, and B, want to press charges.
Yeah. As long as she knows if she comes back.
I don't. She's intoxicated enough to where her understanding of the whole lingo about that is not.
I'm in the military.
Alright, so am I. Let's play.
So at least you guys have a fence up. She can't just cut through the bushes. So if she stands there and talks to her friends and waits for them to come pick her up on the roadside, not the easiest, but you know, at least she's off property at this particular time. She's in compliance.
Yeah, Arty, that's funny. That's always a funny one.
I mean, I'm sure it was explained to her parkside. I'm sure you guys explained to her during the whole transport, and I'm sure you explained it to her over here. I just don't think it's sinking in.
Black hoodie, Adidas, black jeans, and white sneakers, 550 pounds, black hair, blue eyes, food disorder.
If you wanted it, we'll rock, paper, scissors for it. But oh, you need to open up. Did you open up a?
I just put it on TikTok.
Do we have the previous stuff? What?
They're
working on it.
It's been
Yeah, she
explained
walked
to you, alright?
all the way up into here.
I know, we watched you the entire time.
No, you didn't watch me the entire time because they're literally sitting
Do
here
we have a
explaining
transport
something that we
unit?
paid tickets for. I don't understand. I'm not fighting anything. I just want you to put my shorts on.
Listen, I can pull my car over. Shut. Listen, I don't know how you up here. You guys see like up. I'll go get my car. Yeah, let's see the. Yeah, we're just she's from HA10. Is the 10 public transport unit? Yes. It should.
Are you gonna listen or are you gonna keep talking?
So, one of us will take it. We'll do a transport you're at.
Okay, that's it. I'm telling you.
If the hub 10 will take the transport. Oh, so you'll submit the paperwork? Yeah. We'll just give them a transport you're at. We can knock it out before they can get to the one of us will. No problem.
Police then proceed to put the arrested woman into the police patrol car.
Yeah, Celine, I know you got all that footage from Tucker Carlson, who in turn got that from McCarthy. But you know what doesn't help the narrative is that the first people who broke in, were they being led and walked around by cops like it was a guided tour? Or did they break in? I know, Celine, I know. I'm not, I know. But how did the first rioters get into the Capitol? Were they let in and given guided tours? Or did they break in?
Car.
Do you have like weird cuffs or anything?
Yeah, my cuffs have my name on them.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take it. We'll just switch them out.
Yeah.
So why?
They're regular cuffs.
All right,
Okay,
face.
I don't trust this white bitch.
Okay.
So.
Hold on. So, listen.
I'm not fighting anybody.
No, you're not fighting. Listen.
No, I'm not.
Well, if you're not saying anything more than what the footage exists, I think you're being dishonest by trying to draw a conclusion that this footage from Tucker Carlson demonstrates that this entire endeavor was an overblown and a mostly a peaceful event. Because if you're saying like, oh my God, what about all the edited footage that the mainstream media has been posting? Look at all that edited footage. Look at this footage. But do you not question whether or not the footage that Tucker Carlson put out, when, again, I think only Tucker Carlson his whole special was like, what, 45 minutes long? He was given thousands of hours of CCTV footage from McCarthy. Has Tucker Carlson released all that footage for the American public to see for themselves? Maybe that's a question that you need to ask Tucker Carlson, why he hasn't released the entirety of what he got from McCarthy.
No, but I feel like they're like, and this bitch is trying to. Oh, okay. Oh, trash.
Miss Padilla, just relax.
No, I'm not gonna relax. Okay. Can you spread your legs for me, please? No, I can't. Yep. Mind your stance. Thank you very much. Just chill. No, I'm not gonna chill.
So you're conceding that Tucker Carlson's trying to spin a narrative just as much as the mainstream media is trying to spin a narrative, right?
Where'd the bag on his car still?
That's like classic Russian tactics. You just can't believe anybody. Whatever.
Phone ID in the trespass.
You gotta take my phone number down.
Phone's in the car. Just write it down for me. Or I'll get you on the radio. You're not going to 10-7 anytime soon? Okay. I'll get you on the radio.
And you also know what's really awesome is that there are a lot of channels out here on YouTube that have the full 11 hours of footage of the events of January 6th on every single major network. Fox, CBS, and I think MSNBC. There are 11 hours of the day of January 6th, from Trump's speech, from the Trump's rally at the Ellipse, to when Mike Pence certifies the vote. And so you could see for yourself what was being portrayed and what was being shown that day.
It's all submitted, so should be good once you get that.
Right, Celine, but that's the thing. Like that's classic Russian propaganda tactics. But
If you do that, you'll catch extra charges. Yeah, bitch.
anyway, looks like this lady's like I didn't want to get back into it.
Do you want me to check your shoes, or are we good without checking your shoes?
I think we're good.
Okay.
There's no gun.
I trust nothing that I can't verify on my own. that's a very dangerous road to go down, Celine, because you know damn well that you and I cannot completely verify every single factoid in every single aspect of our lives. There has to be some level of trust, but verify, but a level of trust into certain institutions. If you lose all faith in all institutions, then there's no real point in having a discussion. Anyway. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. A YouTuber faces 10 years for derailing a train.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
No shot.
Oh my freaking god! Oh my god, are they okay?
Well, a teenager was just accused for derailing a train for a YouTube video. That was definitely not on my 2024 bingo card, but let's be real, not a lot of the other stuff was either. But today we're gonna take a look at the YouTube channel called Capital City Rail Productions, which is a small train spotting channel ran by a teenager in Nebraska. And allegedly, he wasn't only spotting, he was getting his hands a little dirty as well. Because in April 2024, in Bennett, Nebraska, a train went onto the wrong track and collided with a standstill cart, causing the train to derail. This YouTuber was conveniently there in the middle of nowhere with his camera set up on a tripod to film it all. Unfortunately, the derailment caused about $350,000 in damages, which sounds low. I would assume it would be way higher if you derail a train. But naturally, the teenager uploaded a whole video of this, and this is what he said happened.
I would like to take the time to set the stage for the fateful incident that we will be discussing today.
Oh, yeah?
On Sunday, April 21st, just after 7 p.m., a empty Arbor coal train was heading back from the Nebraska City Power Plant. As it passed through Bennett, it had a defective coal car that it needed to be taken out of the train. The crew decides to place it in the rip track just inside of Bennett, going across the main road, between the grain elevator and the main railroad crossing.
Okay, so I had to look up what these terms actually mean, but a rip track is a repair-in-place track. That is not the main or normal track, so what the prosecutors are alleging here is that the YouTuber did this. I couldn't really think of a better way to explain it than this trolley problem meme, but in this case, just ignore the people. Top one is the rip track, bottom one is the normal or the main track. YouTuber allegedly flipped the switch and moved the main train onto the rip track instead of letting it continue down the main track, and because it went onto the rip track, collided with that empty cart. What an incredibly stupid thing to do. Like,
why?
What is the upside here? A viral YouTube video? I guess that is the upside for a lot of the people we cover here, but still, the bar's low. I didn't realize we're just gonna keep going lower. But obviously, his story is a little bit different though, so let's hear what he has to say.
The crew did this and set a switch in a manner that they can park the car, set up a portable derailleur, and then continue their journey. Unbeknownst to them, they completely neglected to reset the switch to its original position.
How would he know that? One would hope there's some protocols there to avoid that, but the fact that it happened in the first place shows that there's some things to address here.
On the evening of Monday the 22nd, just after 5 p.m., as I was driving home from work along Highway 2, there was a loaded Arbor that I spotted. The train came into Bennett just after 6 p.m. Unbeknownst to the crew of the loaded Arbor coal train, the switch was still set incorrectly. Meanwhile, the parked defective coal car remains stationary on its correct track as the loaded Arbor speeds along its route. It hurls towards the coal car, and with a deafening crash, the two trains collide, sending shock waves through the tranquil town. Despite the chaos, miraculously, the crew emerges from the collision completely unharmed, though undoubtedly shaken by the ordeal.
Yeah, I mean, that is probably horrifying as a conductor. Suddenly you just veer off the main track. It's not like you could just stop a freight train on a dime. But that was the teenager's side of the story, and obviously the train crashes, which he filmed.
Oh my freaking god! Oh my god, are they okay? Oh my god.
Oh my god. This
Okay,
guy.
so this arbor just hit a defective car, apparently, and is now on the ground. Badly. Here. Switch was thrown wrong. It looks like they hit a derail or something.
Again, how does he know this on the spot? I get that he probably lives for trains and it's not impossible for him to know, but it's definitely suspicious. And that's exactly what the prosecutors thought as well. So here in an NBC News article, it says a Nebraska teenager has been charged with 2 felony counts of criminal mischief after he was accused of causing a train to derail, recording the crash and posting the video on YouTube, according to court records. The 17-year-old was charged in Lancaster County Juvenile Court on Wednesday, but prosecutors have filed a motion to have the case transferred to adult court. That would be really bad for him. An investigator with BNSF Railway said in court documents that the teenager alerted authorities to the derailment and asked the investigator who arrived what caused the crash. He is accused of tampering with a rail and causing 2 locomotives and 5 loaded BNSF cars to jump the rails in Bennett on April 21st. My birthday, let's go. So I was celebrating my 27th birthday, and this kid was derailing trains in Nebraska. The more you know. While the rail cars remain upright, one crashed into an empty coal car, causing $350,000 in damage. An investigator for the rail company said in court records, the train conductor told a BNSF investigator that the misaligned switch led to the crash, and the padlock that was supposed to be attached to the switch was missing. You're telling me a switch to derail a train is guarded with a padlock? Okay, we'll get back to that. The teenager who reported the derailment to authorities approached an investigator after the crash and asked what caused it. When the investigator said it was undetermined, he responded that obviously a switch was flipped the wrong way. According to court records, he told the investigator that he was a train enthusiast and showed him the video he had shot of the derailment. The teen denied trespassing in the area and tampering with the switch, but the investigator pointed out the documents that he knew where the switch was and how it worked. Naturally. Authorities later discovered that a tripod had been set up near the accident site just 4 minutes before the train derailed. 4 minutes. So it's not like he was there all day. 4 minutes before the crash. This is not looking good, but it's about to get worse for him. So I found another article that goes a little bit more into detail. When authorities said they did not know the cause of the derailment, the boy said obviously a switch was flipped the wrong way. An investigator with BNSF Railway found the padlock supposed to be attached to the switch was missing.
Oh no! Oh, okay. So at first going into this, I'm like, there doesn't seem to be enough so far to really nail him. There's enough. At first I was saying there's enough here that he could probably say that he's not, like, they can't necessarily prove beyond a reasonable doubt. But no, the CCTV footage. Oh no.
3 days later, a BNSF investigator obtained CCTV footage showing a 1996 Buick Park Avenue in the vicinity with the same teenager walking towards the switch at the south end of the tracks. According to the affidavit, the teen was later recorded returning to his vehicle. Okay, so they have him 3 days prior to the event, going up to the switch and I guess messing around with it. Then they have him 4 minutes before the train wreck, him setting up his tripod and camera, aiming it at the correct spot. It doesn't look good for him at all. Okay, so they're currently filing a motion to transfer the case to adult court, and if they succeed in doing so, his punishment can increase substantially. So if they actually succeed, it's up to a $20,000 fine, the cost of the damages, and up to 20 years in prison for each count. Currently, he's facing 2 times criminal mischief charges, which each can result in a fine up to $125,000 and or up to 5 years in prison for each count. So my understanding is he's currently facing 10 years in prison currently. But my main question is, how can this happen? How is it so easy to derail a train? It is the same difficulty, apparently, to derail a train as it is to steal a bike if it's all protected by a padlock. Like a $30 trip to Home Depot for some cutters, and just like that, you can apparently derail a train? Really? Clearly, we're living in way more of a trust-based society than we realize. Like, we're just gonna trust that some train enthusiast kid isn't gonna go derail a train. Thankfully, it wasn't a passenger train. That could have been a whole lot worse. I'm surprised there's not more security on key infrastructure like that, especially around our railroads. There have been quite a few rail derailings now that have really like started to show and expose how outdated our rail infrastructure is. So maybe we need to start updating that sooner than later. If not, apparently the train enthusiast kids are going to keep derailing our trains. I say that like it's happened before. No, I haven't seen that headline before. Normally a train just derails from outdated tracks, from what I can tell. Most common way for trains to derail. Yeah, the most common reason for derailing is broken or cracked rails. Then you have road vehicles at level crossings, and then third place is malicious persons placing materials on the rails. So what's actually not listed here is train enthusiast kids flipping the switch, throwing the train onto the rib track.
Oh my god!
So hopefully
oh my god,
this is an isolated incident and more don't come. But yes, before you ask, currently working on the Mr. Beast video, but as you know, there's a lot going on there. So that's going to be a longer video, so it's taken me a long time to make it, but it'll be out in the next few days. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
All right, that's it. At least I got this out of my system to talk about it. But yeah. Oh, wait, what the hell? No, God, no League of Legends. What are you doing? All right, I gotta go eat something. I'm hungry, and my eek wants pets. So I will talk to you guys later. No stream tomorrow. I'm gonna give myself a break, but be streaming Tuesday. Okay. So you guys have a good one. Stay safe, stay dry, stay warm, stay cool, and yeah, we'll talk later. See ya. Yep. Stay on track. Don't get derailed by life.